Fellow gardeners, let me share something that completely transformed my raised beds and will revolutionize yours too. After years of struggling with compacted soil and lackluster plant growth, I discovered a brilliantly simple trick that turns any raised bed into an earthworm paradise. The best part? It costs practically nothing and works faster than you'd ever imagine. What I'm about to share isn't some newfangled gardening fad. It's a time-tested method that works with nature's own soil engineers. When you implement this technique, you'll watch your raised beds come alive with the kind of biological activity that transforms ordinary dirt into black gold. Before diving into the method, let's talk about why earthworms deserve the royal treatment in your garden. These incredible creatures are nature's ultimate soil conditioners, working tirelessly beneath the surface to create the perfect growing environment for your plants. Every earthworm in your raised bed is essentially a living soil factory. As they tunnel through your growing medium, they're creating pathways that improve drainage while allowing air to penetrate deeper into the soil structure. Their castings, yes, worm poop, contain 5 times more nitrogen, 7 times more phosphorus, and 11 times more potassium than the surrounding soil. Imagine having this kind of natural fertilizer production happening 24/7 in your raised beds. The tunneling action also breaks up compacted areas that develop naturally over time, especially in raised beds where we tend to walk around the edges and, well, occasionally step inside. Without earthworms, your soil gradually becomes denser, making it harder for plant roots to spread, and for water to penetrate evenly. Here's the game-changing trick that transformed my raised beds: strategic coffee ground placement combined with proper moisture management. I discovered this method almost by accident when I started composting coffee grounds from my local cafe, but the results were so dramatic that I've refined it into a foolproof system. Start by collecting coffee grounds from your morning brew local coffee shops or even office break rooms. Most coffee shops are happy to give away their used grounds. They're actually paying to dispose of them otherwise. You'll want to gather about 2 to 3 pounds of grounds per raised bed, depending on the size. The magic happens when you create coffee ground stations throughout your raised bed. Rather than spreading the grounds evenly across the surface, dig small holes about 6 inches deep and 8 inches apart throughout your bed. Fill each hole with about a 1/4 cup of coffee grounds, then cover with a thin layer of soil. Here's where most gardeners go wrong with coffee grounds. They either keep them too dry or let them get waterlogged. Earthworms need moisture to breathe through their skin, but they'll avoid areas that are soggy. The coffee grounds should feel like a wrung-out sponge when you squeeze a handful. Water your coffee ground stations separately from your regular watering routine. I use a watering can with a narrow spout to deliver water directly to each station without oversaturating the surrounding soil. Check the moisture level by poking your finger into the coffee grounds every few days. They should feel consistently damp but never muddy. During those hot summer months, you might need to water these stations every other day. In cooler weather or, during rainy periods, once or twice a week is usually sufficient. The key here is consistency. Earthworms will abandon dry areas pretty quickly, but they'll also flee from waterlogged conditions. Once you've established your coffee ground stations, it's time to create pathways that encourage earthworm movement throughout your entire raised bed. This is where the highway system concept comes into play, and honestly, it's absolutely brilliant in its simplicity. Between your coffee ground stations, create shallow trenches about 2 inches deep running in gentle curves throughout your bed. These don't need to be perfectly straight. In fact, natural curves work better. Fill these trenches with a mixture of shredded newspaper, crushed eggshells, and a light sprinkling of coffee grounds. The newspaper provides carbon to balance the nitrogen in the coffee grounds, while the crushed eggshells add calcium that earthworms need for reproduction. This highway system gives earthworms protected routes to travel between their favorite feeding spots, encouraging them to stay and multiply in your raised bed, rather than wandering off to other areas of your garden. The timing of when you implement this system can make a huge difference in your success rate. The absolute best time to start is during mild, moist weather when earthworms are naturally most active. Late spring and early fall are ideal, but you can adapt the technique for any season. If you're starting during summer heat, pay extra attention to moisture levels, and consider providing some shade over your coffee ground stations using row covers or shade cloth. During winter months, earthworms go deeper underground, so this might not be the best time to begin the process, though maintaining existing stations will keep your established worm population happy. I've found that earthworms start appearing within just a few days of setting up the system properly, but honestly, the real magic happens over the course of several weeks as they establish territories and begin reproducing in your raised beds. Once earthworms have moved in, maintaining their paradise is surprisingly simple. Just refresh your coffee ground stations monthly by adding fresh grounds and mixing them lightly with the existing material. And, never let these stations dry out completely, as this will send your earthworms searching for better conditions elsewhere. The highway trenches need attention every 6 to 8 weeks. Just remove any decomposed material and replace it with fresh shredded paper and eggshells. You'll notice that the organic matter disappears much faster once earthworms are actively working the area, and, well, this is exactly what you want to see. So, you'll want to watch for signs of earthworm activity, like those small piles of castings on the soil surface, and that spongy feel of well-aerated soil when you push your finger into the bed. These indicators, well, they tell you that your system is working perfectly, and your soil is being continuously improved by your new underground workforce. After implementing this earthworm attraction system in my raised beds, the transformation has been, well, just remarkable. Plants grow more vigorously, water penetrates more evenly, and the soil has developed that rich, dark color that, honestly, every gardener dreams of achieving. The best part is that this becomes a self-sustaining system. Happy earthworms reproduce quickly, and their offspring inherit the same territory preferences as their parents. Within a single growing season, you'll have established a thriving earthworm population that continues working for you year after year. Your fellow gardeners will notice the difference in your plant's health and growth, and you'll have the satisfaction of knowing you've created something truly special using nothing more than coffee grounds, kitchen scraps, and, just a little strategic thinking. Ready to transform your raised beds into earthworm paradises? Start collecting those coffee grounds today and begin creating your own underground workforce. The sooner you implement this system, the sooner you'll see the incredible results that come from working with nature's most efficient soil improvers. If this article has inspired you to try something new in your garden, I'd love to hear about your earthworm success stories. Subscribe to Soil Sensei for more game-changing gardening techniques, and share this article with fellow gardeners who are ready to take their raised beds to the next level. Together, we're building a community of gardeners who understand that the real magic happens beneath the surface.